What's up everybody and welcome back to another episode of Skyrim Special Edition Mods Weekly. This is a series where I show you guys some of the best to come out as far as mods for Skyrim each and every week. This week was definitely an interesting one. We got a lot more polished mods and mods that you're probably going to be using over the longer term, although unfortunately along with that we did start to see the initial parts of the split that's probably going to start to occur between Skyrim on PC and Xbox One. What I mean by this is a lot of mods are now only being released on PC and not on both platforms like there was in the initial rush to get everything out. Fortunately, a lot of these mod authors still are committing to porting the mods over to Xbox One. It's just they're being released on PC first because that's the platform they're most familiar with and the one it's easiest to release mods on. Regardless, I think both platforms got pretty good releases this week, and again, a lot of these mods that are only on PC did have mod authors saying, yeah, I'm going to port it over to Xbox One, just give me a week or two. With all that being said, if you guys do enjoy the series, I really encourage you to consider subscribing, but with that, let's get right into it. So the first mod I do want to show you guys is a relatively simple one, but actually like a cool mod to just have on your game. Footprints is basically going to make it so when you walk through the snow or different like muds or dirts, there will be actual footprints left by your player or other NPCs, or even I think one of the coolest aspects of this mod is creatures. So especially if you're playing Skyrim on the higher difficulty, you could actually track animals or other NPCs using their footprints. They stay for a pretty long time, and all around I just think it's kind of a cool mod, especially with all the snowy regions in Skyrim. I especially like the textures again for a lot of the different animals, like the bear textures you can see right there. They have very defined and distinctive footprints, and I think they just look really good. Again, a pretty simple mod, but one that I just think is worth a download. So next up we have KYNE'S Breath. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Regardless, this is a mod I actually made a full video on a few days ago. Basically, this is a weapon pack adding in a ton of different weapons that kind of fit a different role than some of the other weapon packs out there. A lot of the weapon packs will basically have these really high quality and awesome weapons for you to play around with that are like not overpowered, but very powerful, probably medium to late game. KYNE'S Breath is not supposed to be like that. It is actually a weapon pack that naturally will spawn on a lot of different bandits in the game. It's meant to be kind of a lower or weaker level weapons. Despite this, all the weapons do have upgrades to make them a little bit more viable and effective. Regardless, I just really like the theme of this pack. You do have a pretty good variety of weapons. I especially like these stone versions where they're like actual stone on top of just a stick, although the texture quality definitely could be improved on some of these. I think it's a good weapon pack to include in your game, especially for when you're battling bandits. You probably won't be battling them all the time, but especially in the early levels, it'll be nice to have that little bit of variety there. So up next we do have Immersive Armors. This is probably one of those mods you've heard about, been looking forward to being released. It is one of the big boy mods for Skyrim, probably one of the most downloaded mods in Skyrim's history. Regardless, what this is going to do is add in 55 brand new lore friendly and just really well balanced armors into Skyrim. These are going to range from some heavy knight armors to some lighter bandit or warrior armors. And again, all these are very lore friendly. A lot of them are building off the existing lore, maybe adding in a variant to another armor or just a armor that a faction was previously lacking. It's a very expansive and well done mod. All these are kind of made by different mod authors. So one certain mod author might have made all the Stormcloak armors and then another one made all the other armors. This is pretty much just quality. All of them look very good, but since you have all these different mod authors contributing, the main mod author that did compile it all did say it's going to be a little bit delayed when coming out for Xbox One because he wants to get permission from all the individual mod authors. All around, this is basically a must download for a lot of people. It's one of those core mods that I think just makes the Skyrim experience much better and is just all around very well done and well polished. So maybe Immersive Armors really wasn't up your alley. Well then, maybe you want something a little bit different, and FurArmorSet may be for you. Basically, it's going to add in a bunch of not really armors, but accessories for you to complement some of the existing armors with. So Skyrim's a pretty cool place, especially in the northern regions. Well, you're going to need some earmuffs, some hats, some boots, etc., to address those cold conditions and really make your character feel all that warmer. What this mod actually adds in is a hat, poncho, gloves, boots, muffler, earmuff, shoulder cape, and a regular coat, and all these are going to come in 7 different styles, that being the leopard print, the cheetah print, the white, black, etc. All around, it's a pretty cool mod, and actually one thing I do like about this mod is all these are kind of made to be used with existing armors. So for example, if you want to use the earmuffs or the hat, you could definitely use this with some of the other armors, as well as the coat is big enough that it'll go over some armors. It's a pretty cool mod, and a lot of people did really like this in the regular Skyrim, and I think it just fits into the game really well. So next up we do have Skyland. This is going to be one of the big boy texture overhauls. I know I keep using that phrase, but regardless, it's like those mods that were a must download for the regular Skyrim are now being ported over. So it's going to be focused more on a landscape texture overhaul and covering certain cities. It doesn't cover all of Skyrim just yet, but most of the Skyrim, especially some of the landscapes again. So when you're traveling around, you should be seeing a lot of these new textures that look much better. One thing I do want to note, I'm using the trailers from this mod. I tried to get B-roll, but I just couldn't match what they did. So again, they're going to be the trailers. I should have links to both of them in the description down below. And again, this is just really one of those better mods. Something it actually does that some of the other mods don't is it actually looks very good, but only using 2K textures. Some mods will use 4K textures, but typically will result in an FPS hit. This one definitely avoids that by maintaining 2K textures, but they still look very high quality. And honestly, I don't even notice a difference. I don't really see the need for 4K in this instance, and I'm actually playing at a higher resolution at 1440p, although I did use this mod on 4K as well. All around, it's pretty much like one of the definitive texture overhaul mods. I know a lot of people use this and it was a lot of people's favorite, so definitely worth a download, especially with Skyrim Special Edition, considering it's supposed to be a remaster without actually remastering anything. This mod will fill in a lot of those gaps, as well as other mods that will eventually come out will help fill in some of the other ones. So next up we have the Berserk Guts Armor. So this is the Guts Armor from the series Berserk. The naming's a little bit weird, but regardless, I don't know anything about that series. I just love this armor. Obviously it's not as expansive or crazy as some of the other mods on this list, but you've probably been seeing this in a lot of my videos because it's one of my favorite armor mods to come out as of late. I think it just looks and fits into the game very well as you can see it has that nice little detailing on the left arm that's actually meant to be like kind of a metal or robotic arm, which I'm sure has some meaning in the Berserk series, although I don't know anything about that. Again, I just think it's a very cool armor. It fits into the game really well. It's pretty high quality and it's just a little bit different enough that it makes me feel unique, but it's not too different that it makes me stand out to an unnecessary level. All around, probably my favorite standalone armor mod right now, and I think it's worth a download. So next up we have the Notice Board. This is a really cool mod. Basically what this is going to add in is to all the major cities in Skyrim, you'll now go up to and find a notice board right next to kind of the different bars or inns in those cities. On this board you're going to find all your different Radiant quests. So basically just miscellaneous quests that are randomly generated by the game for you to keep occupied or go do something. These are going to be ranging from quests that are retrieve an item, kill a mercenary, kill a dragon, etc, etc. They have different rewards, different challenges, and all around it gives you a nice and cool way to go get some of these quests when maybe you're feeling a little bit bored or just want to make some extra money off not doing one of the main quests. This mod also has like a lot of little detailing, like every once in a while you'll walk up and see a mercenary and like his sidekick looking at the quest trying to find something for their own to do. I think it's just a really good implementation onto a nice feature that Skyrim does offer, as well as you could ignore all these quests just by throwing away the notes. So maybe you take one and then get the quest and you don't want to do it later on. There's a way to get rid of that as well. And on top of this actually adds in a message board as well, which is actually going to be individual citizens from each of the cities leaving messages for you to read and stuff like that, which is a nice little addition, although not the main point. So I don't really know how to make a video on this one. Regardless, Insignificant Object Remover is going to remove a bunch of minimal objects around just kind of Skyrim as a whole. So like little pebbles that you probably didn't even notice were there and just miscellaneous or minute things like that. I want to kind of stress through this that it doesn't remove some of the bigger objects like hay bales and carts and stuff like that, but like little rocks or stuff that would be around the hay bales. So you may be thinking, well, why the hell do I care about this? Well, it actually gives you a pretty substantial performance increase. People reported 10 to even 20 FPS bumps, especially on lower end systems, which obviously that's a pretty big difference, especially for Skyrim. So I especially think it's good to use this on consoles if maybe you're using a mod like Vivid Weathers or something else that will be a little bit more taxing. It'll increase your FPS at least slightly in a way that you probably won't even notice, because how often are you actually looking at those nitty gritty little rocks around? So this is kind of similar to the previous one, except not really at all. Basically, boss encounters of Skyrim is going to place down a bunch of different bosses all over the Skyrim world. These are just high-level enemies that fit some certain role. One of them is a Dragonborn, one of them is an ex-Nord that's going to have some crazy plate armor. That's actually who I'm fighting in this. And basically, they're going to be challenging fights that you will have an adequate reward for, whether that be a unique weapon or just some different gold. All of them actually offer you 250 gold, kind of because there's a bounty on them. I just think it's a fun and little aspect of the game that probably should have been in the vanilla game. They're challenging enough to make them interesting, but at the same time not overpowered where you have to like do it 10 times. You could probably do a lot of these on 1 or 2 tries, but I feel like 250 gold is a pretty good way to do it. I just felt like it was something better to do when you have some good armor and gear, and I honestly had a lot of fun taking on some of these different enemies. So last but not least, we have unique. So basically what this mod's going to do is change it so all the unique weapons you get through Skyrim from various quests or whatever means are actually going to now have their custom models and textures. It's a really big improvement over the vanilla ones that were kind of just modifications of existing swords and didn't feel special in any way. When you get a unique weapon now, it's going to definitely be unique and actually feel like something notable and like you accomplished something. I think this is honestly one of the must download mods for Skyrim. The texture and model quality is very high quality, and it really isn't like a huge overhaul or anything like that. It's just a nice addition that I think should have been in the vanilla game. That's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this episode of Skyrim Mods Weekly though. I do hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I thank you for watching.